Thank you.
I will call the October 15th Irmo Town Council meeting, and I will recognize Councilman Harvey Hoops to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking your blessings upon our meeting. Bless all those that are here. Let their decisions be liking unto your will. Lord, we ask a special blessing for our men and women in foreign lands wearing the uniform of the United States. Bring them home safely to their families. Guide each and every one of us as we go home this evening to a safe journey. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes from October the 1st. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes being approved as written, do so with show of hand. And next item is the administrator's briefing. Mr. Brown, is anything you'd like to add?
Yes, sir. I have two things. Had a meeting with DOT yesterday, and regarding our LPA process that we wanted to go through to save some money. That's all well and good in the future, but they're not going to let us get out of the Carlisle-Mosley Street project without paying them $40,000 for the work they put into it. Plus, we don't get the plans. Little loophole I didn't know about. So we would then have to pay. Well, we'd have to pay an engineer to redraw the whole thing again because their designs and plans are all proprietary. They don't give them out to anybody.
For $40,000, they don't give us a plan?
No. So we would spend $40,000 plus we'd have to get the plans done. So I'm not sure it's cheaper to get out of that project, you know, because of the money and time already invested.
How much
in
to
it.
stay in?
Close to 100.
Is that the one that was over that was over a whole lot?
Right, but that's a guesstimate. I mean, that's still, you won't know the exact figure until they bid it. That's just their estimate of what the cost would be with all the drainage issues that they have to correct.
But for 100, we'd have the curbing and the sidewalk?
Right.
Okay.
I think we should go ahead and do it, to be honest with you, at this point.
With DOT.
No, I'm saying we should go ahead and kick in the rest of the money and get the project done.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll have that on a future agenda if you want to do that. I just wanted to let you know DOT wasn't going to let us just waltz off and give us our money back like they will with the other projects. They will with Palmetto Wood, and they hadn't started Childs, and they hadn't started Shillingham yet. So all those projects we can go do on our own, save as much as 15–20%.
Okay,
But the
Carlisle Street
Mosley,
and what about Eastview?
Eastview's already in the works. We've
so
already
that's
paid
already-
the additional, I think it was $26,000, but we had a credit.
Right.
So that one's already, that's supposed to be bid out next month.
Okay.
They're hoping to get started on that no later than the first of the year. So that'll be good for the park. Because that's going to go all the way around the corner of the Battery Road, and then we can decide what we want to do from Battery Road to the entrance, like 180 feet.
But if we cancel the one, whatever we were talking about doing, we would have to pay them $40,000.
That's the money that's our match that we've already given them. They would normally, we would get the match back, but because they've already used it, that's why they said
get it back.
They won't give it
And they
back.
wouldn't give us the plans.
Correct.
And then we'd pay X amount of dollars, thousands, to do the plans over. And we still could be $100,000 over, maybe. Who knows?
Correct. Correct. I mean, there's just, we can't win that one, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it's just, they just...
So you're saying you got to put it back on the agenda for us to...
Well, I mean, they're still working on it
okay.
because we hadn't actually told them to stop on that one.
Oh, okay.
So they're working on it, but they will come back to us, and council's going to have to approve the additional amount of money that they're going to give us an invoice for.
They've been tacky before.
Yeah.
But we don't have to put it on the agenda and undo what we did last time as far as that. Okay.
No.
We just wait for them to give us the final. Okay.
The other thing is I've had a couple price quotes for paving Church Street from where the park starts to Lake Murray Boulevard. So does council want to entertain some more bids, and we can have that on the next agenda, or not? Right now, my estimate's about $38,000.
I think the only thing I would suggest is, as we spoke today, is find out if we can get the builder to compensate some, not all of it. And also find out from Lexington if it was on their thing-to-do list in any short period of time. You know, they may be already planning to, say, come out there and repave that road. We might be able to coordinate with them and get them to pay a portion too.
Okay, I sent an email over there, and the problem we're going to have with Lexington is, well, not a problem, I shouldn't say that. If it's in their short-range plan, then they would give us some financial help. And they're going to get back with me. They had to check something. But if it's not in their short-range plan, it's in their 5-year or long-range plan, then they're not going to give us any assistance. Right. They're just going to say, go for it. Good luck. Do a good job.
How does it get in the plans in the first place? How does it get in there any of the plans at all?
Oh, well, they have their engineers. They go around the county. You know, they have a list of road pavings and road repairs.
So what about Eastview Drive?
And they know if it hadn't been done
It's
in,
Richland
say,
County.
Eastview Drive is not a road. Eastview Drive is not on anybody's list past 300 feet off of Lake Murray Boulevard. The rest of it's private property. It's used as a road. We use it. It's been that way for 50 years, but it's not, no easements have ever been given. It's all private property, which is why we had trouble getting the right-of-way to pave it a few years back when we tried that.
We had,
The owners have to give it to us.
And don't you think, since we're building this very, very ornate, immaculate park, that would be a good auxiliary exit out of that park? And that Eastview Drive would be?
well, you could come out that backside
It'd be
and go
nice.
down that way.
Yeah, church
But-
down towards CVS.
Yeah, but I think even, if I remember correctly, the front where it goes into Lake Murray didn't have a big enough, wasn't a big
wide.
enough curb cut or whatever, and that was one
Can't
problem.
couldn't we just
Yeah.
blacktop it? I mean, just put blacktop or crush and run all the way through it?
Well, again, it's private property. We would have to get the right-of-way first. There's like 3 owners back there.
and you can't go and prove anything without their permission. I didn't say it had to make sense, but you can't.
So you're talking about the property
So-
where the road ends, or on the left and right?
I'm talking about the left and the right.
So you're telling me that somebody could put a fence up across there right now and we can't go across it?
That's correct.
Are you serious?
They could. I mean, there'd be legal issues, I'm sure. You know, trying
What
to do
legal
that.
issue? Was it private property? They could do that, right?
Well, it is, but I mean, because it's
Well,
been
you got ingress
used
and
as a road for
egress.
so many
There
years.
would be somebody that would claim adverse possession.
You got to have ingress and egress to each piece of property and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's saying, he just told me it was a private road.
It's-
Somebody could put a fence up there and say, if you want to go through, you pay me a nickel.
That's right,
Well, technically, they could.
yeah.
So what's to stop them from doing it now? You saying if somebody's, I'm gonna go up there and tell them to do that, and I want the revenue from it. I mean, what's to stop them from doing that
Whatever
now?
too.
Yeah, right. I mean, especially when you got the orchestra out there, every car goes through there 5 cents, you know, or 20, you know.
Well, hopefully that road will be closed off on that end when we have the orchestra, so people won't be trying to go
I
down that
talked to
dirt
the
road
chief, we were
through-
talking about
through there.
closing off both ends of that and just letting emergency vehicles through there or people who live there and keeping it from the
Wait a
orchestra.
minute now, you can't, how you gonna close off a private road? Now, wait a minute, make up your mind. Is it a private road or not?
Well, it
You can
is.
close it off if there's a danger, he can.
Danger being there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him.
Now, wait a minute.
Well, if we need to discuss all this, let's
Okay,
put it on the agenda item.
You need to talk to a
Another day,
lawyer.
but, yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm just telling you what they told me. I mean, it's not a road after 340 feet, I think it is, off of Lake Murray. That Lexington owns that.
And I think our lawyer got bored and left, didn't he?
No, he's
Still
over
there?
there.
Oh, he's over in the corner, okay.
Put Jake on the spot on that one, he can tell you.
All right, well, we'll talk about it
Okay,
another
we'll put it on the
time.
agenda, Jake. You get beefed up on this.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good idea.
All right. Listen, we'll put that on the next agenda then, okay?
But as
Not-
far as
not-
the
Special meeting.
Church Street.
Church Street, I think you had just talked to
Could be on the special meeting.
Clearwater and Lexington
be here
County
all
and
night
the
for
city, and then And
our
maybe-
best deal.
Yeah, try to
Okay.
get someone to chip in some, because, I mean, if the park wasn't there, Church Street probably wouldn't have got messed up in the next 5 or 10 years, maybe. So I'm sure
Probably
the
got
dump
paid for
trucks,
5 or 10 years.
but the dump trucks probably did some damage. How much, we don't know, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they did, so maybe they can,
Well, as I
Help.
told you earlier, I've talked to Mike Gelsey, and he is not gonna help out with that. He said his trucks didn't do it, his people didn't do it, and we can't prove that they did it. He said it was messed up before the project started.
It was. But what about that little street, that little L that goes back into the other guy's house? There's another street there.
That's correct.
Mosley.
What is it called?
Mosley, and that Mosley?
Mosley?
Well,
It's-
that's Old Mosley. I think the county changed it to Church Street also. So, I mean, if you go around the corner, it's still Church for 911 reasons. But it's part of
Really?
your...
No, because there was a big scuffle about that,
Well, that
because
was
the
the
guy had, he said that there was no sign up there that said this is where Mosley Street is, or whatever the name of that street is. And if he called 911, they wouldn't know where to go.
Which is why the county changed it to Church Street. They gave those people around the corner, there's like 2 houses.
Yeah.
They gave them Church Street addresses so that the fire rescue would come down Lake Murray, turn on Church Street, and they would find the houses.
So the park doesn't end on Church Street, or it does? Church Street doesn't go all the way through the park?
Well,
That road doesn't continue?
Oh, no, I mean, it's not Church Street, it's whatever we want to call it.
Oh, okay.
So we got the easement from Mrs. Hilliard. We can call that park entrance, that's where we,
Yeah.
you know. But that's not a continuation of Church Street. No, sir.
Okay,
We just call it that.
I got you.
so any other?
No, sir.
Oh, do you have anything else? Just the 2 items? Okay.
We're doing all the advertising and all for the recycling? Okay, just checking.
So, any other questions of Mr. Brown on the receipt of communication? None. Next item is,
Wait a minute, what's this? This is
Yeah.
Veterans Park?
next item is receipt of communication.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And there was a Mr. John Isidore who was going to come speak. He called me yesterday and said he couldn't make it because of his work. So he's going to try to come to one of the November meetings. Basically what he is doing, he's with the American Legions. He's in the Chapin chapter. They have an Irmo chapter. It's not real active. So he is trying to move down here, so to speak, and get the Irmo chapter active. And he wants to be able to use the Veterans Park, not this Veterans Day, but starting next year at Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and maybe some other whatever days.
That'd be nice.
And just wanted to come introduce himself, tell us what they want to do, and make sure everybody was, aware of it and understanding and that kind of thing. I told him I thought it would be fine, but he could just come tell us all what his plans are, and then we could coordinate everything when it comes time to do that. He said he would come back in one of the November meetings and kind of fill us in.
I have a question. So he doesn't need it for this November?
No, I think they just kind of started trying to get people to get involved in Irmo chapter, and also the ones that are in Chapin that are live in Irmo, to try to get them to come down here and kind of just starting to get it going. But he didn't think like they would have enough time to get it for this November. But he thought they'd start with next Memorial Day, and then next year in November, and he wasn't sure what they would do, but I think some kind of services, evening services or something. I told him I thought it'd be fine. He just needs to give us a 90-day notice so that nobody else signs up to use it, and different things, and then try to be a part of it too, whatever.
So he was planning to give us a verbal communication.
Yeah, just kind of tell us what they're doing and who they are, and just introduction type thing.
The Blue Star Mothers were at the farmer's market.
Yeah, I
this
saw that
past
the other day.
Saturday, which is connected, very nice.
And only other thing I was going to do under receipt of communication is just bring up that electronics recycling thing for anybody here. But Irmo, in conjunction with the Keep the Midlands Beautiful, is doing an electronics recycling at Crossroads Middle on November the 16th from 9 a.m. in the morning till 12, and I'm assuming that's a Saturday. And we'll be advertising that. I think we kind of discussed it in the Irmo News or somewhere, in the
Irmo News
our
Channel, through the
website,
website,
and
Facebook
Facebook and all
page.
that stuff.
Yes.
to kind of help remind everybody. Any other receipt of communication from anyone? Seeing none. Next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who would like to address Irmo Town Council on anything on the agenda tonight, which is the pay raise thing and also the grand opening of the park, any of those two items, may do so at this time. Anything else, we can do it at the end of the meeting. Anyone who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none. Next item is unfinished business, second reading of ordinance 1311 to increase council salary, annual salary by $3,000 effective January 1st, 2014. Is there a motion for second reading?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
And I will recognize Councilman Hoops first, and then Councilman Walker second, if y'all.
Well, I think we explained it well first reading, but the council has not had anything increasing to my knowledge, and I've been here 22 years, so I think it's long overdue.
Anyone else? Being no other discussion, all in favor of second reading for the increase in annual salary to $3,000 effective January the 1st, 2014, do so with show of hands. And all opposed?
Yeah.
You're opposing it? You put it on the agenda.
Oh, I did?
So you're opposed, is that it? Okay.
I want it to be effective tomorrow.
Next item is new business, approval of a date for the grand opening for the community park. And I don't know, we can do this a couple of ways since we ain't got a date. Somebody can make a motion for approval of a certain date if they want to go that route, and then we can start there, or I'll say a month or springtime or fall time or something, but something to get us started.
Recognize me?
Yeah.
I'll start it off. We've worked hard on this project for years.
You gonna make a motion?
I want to make a motion that
Okay.
we make a date. I want to get to that, though.
Okay.
We've worked hard on this project for, what, 2 years? At least 2 years. And
Since the end of 2010.
has it been that long?
That's when I started faxing hundreds of pages
Okay.
to John Hanson. I remember that.
Gee whiz. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, any rate, I think that we should have a grand opening for this park that's celebratory of the jewel that we have now in our town. And the reason why I call it a jewel, is anybody familiar with the Charter Amphitheater in Simpsonville?
I am.
You familiar with that? Simpsonville has an amphitheater in a park. It's called the Heritage Park. And they have an amphitheater that's a little bit bigger than ours, a lot bigger than ours, but they have major events out there every weekend. Concerts from B.B. King to Aerosmith. I mean, we're not talking that kind of stuff out here, but I'm not far from it. I mean, we can do events out here on a regular basis. Our farmers market, for instance, that's a twice a month event. That's something that we can see happening out there. Picnics, orchestra, concerts. I mean, this park is going to be utilized by a lot of folks, and we have to make sure that we give the due that it deserves, in the sense that we spent a lot of man hours, a lot of time looking at different drawings, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion on it. I don't think just putting a gate up and opening the key is what we need to do. I think we need to do a little more than that. I would have loved to have done it in conjunction with the 40th Orchestra, but unfortunately, things happened and we couldn't do it. I'd like to wait for the next orchestra, but that's a year off. I think that's too late. I think we need to do something in the spring when the stuff start greening up with
My
about.
suggestion would be the first of May.
1st of May?
There's plenty warm.
Okay. Around the 1st of May in conjunction with the farmer's market, because they're gonna start the farmer's market in April, I believe.
May 3rd would be.
May 3rd is
would
the
be
first one?
Farmers market, Saturday. No, the first one's in April. They start in April.
Yeah, that's
but
what
you
I
got
thought.
Easter and, you know, a lot of things going on.
Okay.
but-
I would suggest making May our grand opening date. And put that in the form of a motion. If anybody wants to second it, that's fine.
Well, I thought she was writing all that down. It's your motion.
I'll
sorry.
second
Not
that.
the whole thing.
Not the whole thing.
So the motion is for May, what do you say?
May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Saturday, May 3rd.
And
Yeah,
that's
she is writing it down.
2014.
14.
Wow.
Now, you know that is farmers market day, so there'll be a lot of vendors out there.
Oh, there's gonna be a
people
lot of
out there.
vendors out there already, you're gonna have people out there. But we're gonna have a big to-do, not just the farmer's market, we're gonna have a party.
But are we gonna do this after the farmer's market, like at noon or what? When are we gonna do it?
We're gonna cut the ribbon hopefully in the morning, like 9 o'clock.
Okay,
I mean, we can do all the details as we come along.
okay.
But I was cut the ribbon at 9 o'clock in the morning,
What time does the farmer's market start?
it's from 9 to 12. And then, you know, have vendors out there from 9 until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and with that going on, have a couple of bands out there. I know of a couple of good bands. I know of one good band that we're glad to play.
Well, actually, I think the park itself sells itself. We are gonna have a lot of big events out there. Hopefully.
Oh, absolutely.
Make the Super Bowl
Super Bowl.
Bowl of the bass tournaments will be there in August.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't think we need to
The
spend any
what?
more money.
The bowl of the what?
Super Bowl is the bass
Bowl,
tournament.
Bass tournament.
Big bass
Oh,
tournament.
okay.
That's the largest.
Yeah.
And, but I don't think we need to, I
Well,
don't think, I saw throwing away money.
Councilman, I'm not talking about orchestra budget money, and we don't have to spend that much.
I see $5,000 to $10,000, but
Well, that's a little bit overshot, but you know how we are. You ask for what you really want, and you end up not getting it. So
sure, but we need to use that money for improvements to get to the park, not for,
I
for
agree.
a band or for a party. I think the farmer's market and the grand opening of that would be plenty.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you 110%, because I'll be there. You know, but I think we should do something a little more than just cut the ribbon and say, okay, the park is now officially open. I mean, this is a major event in the history and the life of the town of Irmo. And I hope to be here for, well, I don't hope to be here, but 100 years from now, they'll look back on the archives and say, hey, those 5 council people were visionaries to put together this great park and make it a jewel.
For a party, that's all.
Well, I don't need that for reason to party, but I mean, I'm sure that we're not gonna, after all the sweat we put into this project, just to cut the ribbon is not gonna do it.
Well, it will for me.
Well, right now, we just have a date, and at 9 o'clock, and then I guess at a later date, we can put on there and discuss how much.
Well, the reason I put it on here was, yeah, we need, if we had an amount, or if we were going to try to get a national or a band, I mean, you need to line something up
There needs
now.
to be some more planning,
Yeah,
but we needed a date to plan around.
but now we got a date. I think is everybody cool? Well, if the motion carries, I mean, now we know the date, if everybody agrees to it.
I agree.
And then we should have probably a little, like you said, a little private opening.
Yeah.
We could get this good band to play for nothing, maybe, and that would help us out financially, see?
We could each bring hors d'oeuvres.
And he could bring a whole bunch of peach cobbler for free.
That's
and
right, and
feed
you can all
everybody.
bring food.
You gotta understand, I'm in the peach cobbler business now. I gotta sell that stuff, man. Yeah. Well, we can certainly make some of that happen, but, I'm just ecstatic about the park. I mean, I drove through there the other day and I was like, man, I can't wait till we can drive through here on asphalt, you know?
Without getting stuck.
Well, the cupola is
heard
on
about
top of the cupola is on top of the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's on top of the picnic thing,
You
and
noticed that, huh?
oh yes,
Yeah.
and it really it's starting to look nice. Playground has for months. Playground looks wonderful.
Playground, wonderful.
It
Yeah.
really
Rachel
is.
went on there, they loved it.
And the path in the back, all that's done, it's just not quite finished, so.
Well, Counselor, you did great. I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud to be a part of this group that got this done. And I'm also proud of the fact that we have zero tax increase to the town of Irmo residents, and yeah, we spent $1.5 million, but I think,
Marty knows exactly.
1.8, close.
I'm sorry, 1.8. But I'm sure after the smoke clears, and you're gonna get 120 back eventually, so.
I think it'll make money one day.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I got people calling me now asking me, how do I book the park for a barbecue? Barbecue cook-off. And I said, well, not yet, but you can book the park. I'm sure
We
we'll
don't
do
have
it.
a barbecue pit.
The grill's on the way, it's already been ordered.
Okay,
Big one,
We got 2 or 1.
just one for now. We wanted to see how it's going to work out because it's 500, it's like 41 inches.
Throw half a hog on there.
That's what you wanted.
Double check.
That's what you're
A
getting.
whole bunch of chicken.
So I can sneak over there the day before Thanksgiving and
How about turkeys?
Yeah, right? Fried turkey, smoked turkey. Hey, that's an idea. We can buy a truckload of turkeys and give it away to the town people. There you go, Paul.
Wow.
Feed the homeless, the hungry and the disheveled.
yeah, quick
I think we need to
giveaway.
vote on this.
yeah. So all in favor of May,
Need a second, who's second?
I say,
Oh, I'm
Harvey.
sorry, okay.
and, all in favor of May 3rd, 2014, of doing the grand opening in conjunction with the farmer's market at 9 a.m. Or we'll just leave the 9 a.m. off because we might want to do it earlier, but May 3rd, 2014. And do so with show of hands. And let's see. Next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone could speak to Irmo Town Council on anything, whether it's on the agenda or not. Is there anyone who would like to address Irmo Town Council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. And all we ask is just give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Paul C. I'll spell the last name S-E-A-Y. I reside at 200 Crestwell Road in Irmo. And before I start, Mr. Mayor, I want to apologize for any redundancy. I know some of the stuff I'm going to address you've already heard. But on that note, on September 18th of this year, I had a letter to the editor published in the state newspaper that was, what I would just say, less than flattering to the Irmo Police Department. Now, that morning, I received a phone call from Police Chief Buck, and I want to point out, first of all, that I've never received a phone call in my memory from Chief Buck before about anything. Now, in all fairness to Chief Buck, part of this phone call, he had a legitimate claim. I'm not going to repeat the thing, but I posted something online, information that I received that turned out to be false about Chief Buck. I will not repeat it because it is false. He had a legitimate claim to address this matter to me, and on that, I don't take any exception with Chief Buck calling me. However, on Facebook, this goes back to the discussion people were having about the dog shooting incident. I had explained on there that it was my understanding that two current Irmo police officers and one former one had police records. Now, in defense of me, before I had published it, I had tried numerous times in the Irmo Police Department to get an honest answer on whether these officers did or did not have a police record. And I had basically run to a brick wall each time. Mr. Mayor, as you know, I had to finally get a straight answer from you about one of them, and you provided me with that answer. Another one, I'm still not sure, he's no longer with the police force, but in any event, even if what I was claiming was false, I don't believe the chief of police has standing to call a private citizen and tell him to go back on Facebook and state that what he said about his officers was wrong. Even if it was wrong, even if I was completely wrong, that seems to be a private matter between those officers. If they feel they've been slandered in some way, they have a right to address it, not Chief Buck. And I will also say that the thing that I posted about Chief Buck, I printed a retraction about it on Facebook. Now, having said that, he ordered me to go back on Facebook and state that all three officers did not have a criminal record And the fact of the matter is, one of them does, and that is Sergeant Courtney Dennis. I have been invited by the Irmo Police Department to come up here to present any evidence that I have to that. I will be more than happy to present it to Chief Buck or to the town if they want. But the fact of the matter is I have evidence, I think, beyond anybody's doubt that Sergeant Dennis is the same one who has the criminal record. And I was assured by Chief Buck that it wasn't. He ordered me to go back on it. I don't think he has any business to do that. And I feel that this was in part retaliation because for my letter to the editor that was critical that morning of the Irmo Police Department. He never told me before. All of a sudden, this morning, September 18, 2013, for the first time, Chief Buck calls me and orders me to go back on the paper. I don't think he has standing to do that. But even if he does, he ordered me to post something. He ordered me to go back online. He assured me Courtney Dennis didn't have a criminal record, and I've got evidence here that proves that he does. And so that's the first thing I want to address. And then I want to go to the actions on Sergeant Dennis since I first raised this issue. Now, back on October 2nd, I was walking home from Kroger. I did not drive, by the way. I did not drive. I was walking back home from Kroger. I happened to be going down Bigley Road, which is where Sergeant Dennis just happens to live. I have walked down this street many times. I have been a resident of Friars Gate since 1975. I have walked down Bigley Road I don't know how many times. I have seen Sergeant Dennis out in his yard before. He's never said anything. On October 2nd of this year, around 5:30 in the afternoon, Sergeant Dennis came out to retrieve his, they call them Herbie Kirby's, or whatever, little blue trash receptacle. He saw me coming down the road. He stopped and waited for me to get in front of his house, and he in a very belligerent tone, says, "Are you lost?" And I said, I held up the bag and said, "No, I'm coming back from the grocery store." He goes, "Well, you sure are a long ways away from your house." And my response to him was, "Well, I was not aware that I needed to have my routes approved by the Irmo police force before I went out for a walk." He went, "You don't," just kind of raised his hand and then walked back towards his backyard. And at that point, I did tell him, that I had been walking these streets in New Friars since 1975. I feel like, and like I said again, Chief Buck was not totally out of line. He called me. He had a legitimate right on part of what he was calling me about that morning. But he did not have a right to order me to go back on Facebook and post that, even if I was wrong, he didn't have a right to tell me to go back on Facebook and post that none of his officers had current or former, had a criminal record. He doesn't, and I feel like this was retaliatory because of my letter to the editor that morning. And then Sergeant Dennis, who has never questioned my walking down the street before, I know he's seen me out there because he's been on his yard before. Sergeant Dennis, here, just the last couple of weeks, has basically challenged my right to walk down the road. And I feel like I'm being subjected to retaliation by both Chief Buck and Sergeant Dennis because, one, I have challenged whether or not Sergeant Dennis has a criminal record, and two, because of my letter to the editor. And I feel like some kind of disciplinary action needs to take place. This is not the first time I've raised an issue with Sergeant Dennis. I filed a complaint against him for assault back in 2005. I filed a complaint which was, of course, conveniently dismissed as being unfounded. I still have the paperwork at home, all that. I really don't, I don't know where this ends. I don't know, but...
Let me see that. You see your evidence? Let me see the evidence.
All right. Okay, I have to explain it to you first here. Okay.
Explain to everybody.
Okay.
Show it to me, explain to everybody.
Okay, well, basically, there's a Sergeant Courtney W. Dennis who has a conviction out of Richland County back on July, I believe it's 21st of 2000, for negligent operation of a watercraft. This is in violation of statute 50-21-110, South Carolina Code of Laws. Provides for a fine no less than $50, no more than $200, or up to 30 days in jail. Now, he has a date of birth of October. This Courtney Dennis out of Richland County who has this conviction has a date of birth of October 23rd, 1978.
It is the same one, right? I think we already kind of, but it is, I think we'll agree that it is the same Sergeant Dennis. I think that was kind of, wouldn't it?
Okay, and what did he do now?
Well, it's negligent. It was negligent operation of a boat. Now, granted by criminal standards, well, granted, it's not. If it's not that big a deal, if Mr. Moore has to snicker at it, I don't know why it's such a big deal.
I mean,
That's horrible. That's hilarious.
He wasn't, he wasn't.
It's not like he murdered somebody.
No, but
It's
my,
not a felony.
I understand that, but my point is,
Sir? Okay.
Wait a minute, before we all get started, I'm gonna let him finish, and then we can hear what he got to
That's
say, and then
fine.
we
I
can
just want to see what the evidence was. That he
yes,
had.
my,
This is the criminal record that you're saying. he
yes.
has.
In all fairness,
Okay.
Mr. Moore, I'm not here to say it's a severe
Well,
crime.
I want you to
Okay.
address it to the
Let's-
council
Oh,
and
well,
everything.
okay.
And if you would, step up to the podium so it
I
can
came
be
here to see you
recorded.
ask me
Oh,
Yeah, I actually showed it. I got it. So can I keep this or you want it back?
We have it back.
Okay, thank you.
But my point is not the severity of the crime. I will stipulate that where crimes go, this is very nitpicky, and everything. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that you have the chief of police calling me up, assuring me it's not him, ordering me to go back online and say it's not him, when in fact it is him. And it was easy, and I don't think he's got standing to order me to do that. And I feel like this was retaliation simply because I had a letter to the editor in the morning, that morning, that appeared in the state newspaper that was offensive, and I can read it.
You said in your letter that this was a,
It was about the dog.
he had a, no, he said he had a letter to the editor about having 3 officers that were criminal.
No. I have the letter to the editor. I can read it if you like.
It's about the,
No, that's fine. No, the letter to the editor was about the dog issue, about the shooting of the dog.
Okay, so where did the criminal cops come in?
Because on Facebook,
Oh, Facebook you published that.
there was a discussion. There was a discussion among people about the dog shooting, and I simply said, well, everyone was talking about that they thought Sergeant Noel should be fired, or Patrolman Noel, whatever his rank was.
Right.
And I simply said, well, and I went out of my way to say it was my understanding that the other 2 officers I was talking about, that I didn't know for sure, it was my understanding that they had criminal records. And I said, and I was very specific about Chief Buck, that was my understanding.
But you're saying this is the kind of criminal record that they had. This is a speeding ticket.
It's actually a criminal offense, but it's not the severity of the crime I'm talking about. It's the fact that I was ordered to go back online and say that he didn't, that this was not the same person, when in fact it was.
When you say criminal record, it applies to us that you did something like murdered somebody or
The statute calls for 30 days.
got caught smoking pot or something.
The statute calls for 30 days in jail.
Speeding does too.
Well, let me jump in here. Let's let him finish, and then we can do with it whatever. But I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm trying to understand what he's saying,
I know.
man.
But
And he's saying that we had 3
he's here
cops
to
that were-
address us, and that's what we ought to just let him do.
But
I understand, Mr.
Mr.
C.
Walker, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm really not.
Well, this is all news to me. I'm just finding this out for the very first time. You blindsided me at this meeting tonight about this.
Okay.
And I don't like getting blindsided by stuff like this. I want to know as much
But
fact.
let me, again, I'm going to step in here and say, this is the time for citizens to come address the council. We can speak to them individually afterward or email.
Well, obviously, y'all had aware of the knowledge about this
Well,
before.
he spoke to me the night of the meeting, and
Okay.
so this is his time to
All right, Mr.
speak, and then we can address it.
Let's assume he had a speeding ticket. Let's assume Courtney Dennis had a speeding ticket, and I said online, Courtney Dennis had a speeding ticket. Okay? And let's say Chief
Right.
Buck ordered me to say it wasn't him with the speeding ticket. The bottom line is it still was him. It was him, and I was ordered to go back online and say that it wasn't him, even if it was a speeding ticket, when it was.
But you see the difference of what you're saying?
It's still a criminal offense. We can split.
I know what you're saying.
Speeding tickets.
Criminal offense and speeding ticket. That's the difference, is what I'm
I think we
saying.
have a semantic, because when you say criminal offense to us, or to me, I think felony.
Me,
I
exactly.
haven't said felony.
I know.
You
When
said
say-
criminal offense, like,
Well, the legislature says it's a criminal offense.
Well, you
The state
can't
legislature.
trust them. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, okay.
Bottom line is the severity of the offense, notwithstanding speeding ticket, murder, whatever. I was ordered to go back online and post something. I don't know where the chief has standing to tell me to go back online and post something, whether it's true or not, is what I'm saying.
it's not,
Yes, as a matter of fact, because of the intimidation that was brought on me that morning, I did go back online and say that I had spoke with Chief Buck, and that it was my understanding, based on his assurances, that none of them had criminal records. I did go back and post that. But I have since found out that Sergeant Dennis is, in fact, the one who has the speeding.
okay.
speeding ticket, whatever.
Or in operating a boat properly, whatever the hell it was.
Okay, if the presumption was I meant felony, I apologize for that. I never meant
Absolutely, is what I got
Okay,
that.
there were other policemen as well? Is that what you're saying?
There were other police that I had asked the town about specifically in the past, and I could never get a straight answer. I had to go to Mayor King to get a straight answer about one of them, and he got that for me. And then he got him and the town administrator just acknowledged. They also gave me an answer on Courtney Dennis, and they acknowledged it is the same person. But the same person, not the same person. I don't believe the chief of police has standing. This is really the crux of it. Why does the chief of police get to tell somebody, go on Facebook and basically print a retraction or something?
Well, let's ask our attorney this. What do we call that, Jake? Is that libel or what? Is that considered to be libel or what? When you say something about somebody that's not true?
Truth is a defense. To accuse someone of a crime is generally actionable unless it's true. Technically speaking, I guess you could say that a ministerial offense such as speeding would be a criminal offense. Yes, it is a criminal offense. So I guess technically it's true, but the connotation which goes along with criminal offense without further explanation in regard to somebody in a professional capacity certainly is a whole lot more than one would think a speeding. I dare say that most people in this room are criminals if you consider speeding a crime. It is a crime. It is a low misdemeanor, for which there's not even the right to jury trial in the state, which is the best area of this in prison. But, I guess technically you can say, well, okay, I technically told the truth, but the connotation's what's there. Is it actionable? Maybe. I doubt very seriously the court would sue anybody, but that's his business, not mine. Is the comment actionable? Maybe.
I would like to point out that I did, in fact, print a retraction based on the assurances given to me by Chief Buck. But even if they were false, these were public officials. You'd have to show actual malice. You'd have to show that I knew they were false or that I disregarded the truth. I made every effort to find out from the town, first and foremost, whether these were true, and I could not get a straight answer. And I had evidence, I had documentation that raised the suspicion that they may be the same people. I went through every effort I could to get a straight answer from this police force on all three, and I could not. And like I said, I did go ahead and print a retraction, but Mr. Moore correctly states these may be actionable. But that's my whole point. This is a civil matter. It's not a police matter. The police chief has no business calling up a private citizen and telling him to go back online and post something else. Whether the severity of the thing is getting lost in this is the fact that the chief of police does not have a right to tell a private citizen, you posted something that's not true, go back and change it. Especially when it happens to coincide on the same morning that I had a letter to the editor up here in the state newspaper that did not portray this town's police force in a favorable light.
Mr. Singh, I'm not going to speak for the chief, but if I were the chief, and if somebody put on Facebook that I had hired people with criminal backgrounds, I'd call you too. I mean, it would be just a normal personnel reaction.
All this could have been avoided when I first asked these questions. If I first asked these questions, if I could have gotten a straight answer.
But I don't know that we're allowed to give you too much
Personal
information. Yeah.
No,
Because the town's not allowed to tell a citizen whether or not one of their police officers has a criminal record.
No, I think we have to check, but I don't know what the personnel law is. I don't think we can say much at all about anybody.
Well,
Well,
a
then
criminal
maybe that's
record would
in the
be part of the
explanation.
public record, so it would be already published. If they-
This stuff is on, this information's online. How can it
That's the
be?
same information we
Richland
have.
County's website says it's a criminal offense.
Let me,
Parking is too.
yeah. But let me,
Violation of parking meters.
let me wind this up. If I, as a mayor, and even as a council member, or even as an individual, wanted to call somebody up and tell them to take something off their Facebook about me, I may do it. I may not have a right to do it. I may not should do it in my public position, but I may still do it. And I'm sure that happens all the time as far as one elected person telling another individual, newspaper, whoever, whatever, that whatever you printed about me is not true, please take it off their thing. Whether somebody else listens to it or not is their own free will and choice. But I think what we're hearing is you had some concerns. Most of them, I think, have been addressed. I don't know of all of them. The individual we did discover wasn't the same one. Mr. Taylor or whatever was a different one that you had a concern about. I think the other one was the guy that went to work for somewhere deep.
I'm not going to repeat his name because then they'll say I'm stirring enough points next to you.
He's, you know.
And I would also like to point out that I was invited. I have a Facebook, somebody from Facebook, Chief Buck or someone invited me to come up here and present this evidence if I have it. Now, I was invited to come up here by the police department.
And let me say this, you're here, you spoke your case, as far as Sergeant Dennis, you know, if he has I'm going to call it a misdemeanor, I don't know what the correct term would be, but any individual, I think our, whatever it was that I let you read, our what do you call that thing?
Personnel policy.
Personnel policy specifically states that in any situation like that, it's either up to the town administrator or the town council or the department head as to whether or not they find cause to, and for that particular thing, I don't think it was reason to discipline or terminate or anything. And for that reason, it wasn't. I know in some things the town administrator can make that choice. The town department heads can make that choice, or depending on other things, the town council can. But I don't think that would be anything that we would determine is a justifiable, you know, thing. There are some crimes out there, or some whatever you may call them, to where an employee, whether it's the police department or an individual employee, would be terminated. But that's not one of them. But we do understand that there was some headache, I guess, is a good way of saying it, as to getting your answers or your questions answered.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah. But I think now, basically, you do have the answers that either they were the same people or not the same people, or that the crime does not fit the cause. And the other issue about Chief Buck calling you and that and everything, you know, we could sit here and just easily say, and I'm going to say it, it's a he said, she said. And, you know, I don't think there's anything we can really address on that issue, other than, you know.
Well, lastly, I just want to know what assurances, if any, that the police department can give me that someone's going to do something about reining in Sergeant Dennis. I don't, every time I walk down the street,
Reining in Sergeant Dennis.
Why do I have to be confronted? When I'm walking down the street, I've been walking on 38 years. Why do I have to be confronted with him about, are you lost? And
Sir, you just told us that you pasted on your Facebook that this guy's a criminal. And didn't give any explanation why else he did it. Why do you think he would say anything to you? Why do you think he would say a word to you?
So you're admitting that the town will allow him to harass me because I question whether he has a criminal record?
No, because you posted something on a public forum that said he was a criminal and didn't give any explanation of what he was a criminal from or a criminal about. It's like somebody...
Well, he didn't say he's a criminal, he just said he has a criminal record. And that's,
okay, so what does that mean, Hardy? He's a criminal.
Has a criminal record. I mean,
so you don't go and embellish it in here and say, okay, Mr. Dennis has a criminal record of operating a boat improperly, okay, or he has a criminal record of driving a car too fast, or he has a criminal record of shooting somebody's dog. or he has a criminal record of murdering somebody. You said a criminal record and left that wide open, and why do you think he would stop you and give you
Well,
a hard time?
he didn't ask me why did you post that. He was asking me about why I was walking down his street, basically challenging, did I have a right to walk down his street that I've been walking down since I was a little kid?
Well, I'll have a talk with Mr. Dennison and find out I'll personally talk to him and find out what the deal is, because, you know, if you post something like that about me and then walk in front of my house, yeah, you might get stopped. You might get stopped. I'm sorry, you might get stopped.
Well, I'm understanding you're already facing assault charges. So I'd like to
Exactly. Exactly. There you go. There you go. Exactly. There you go.
All right,
I'm already facing assault charges.
let's clean it up and finish it up.
Okay, look, this one thing, if the town does not want me to come up here and address this, then the police department.
I'd
needs to
love
stop
for you to
fighting
come up
me
and address
here and do it.
I'd love for you to come and talk to us.
Okay.
I appreciate the fact that you lightened and let me know what's going on, because like I said, you blindsided me.
Record shows how serious the town takes this. I'm glad.
We're taking it very seriously. I'm taking it very seriously that you said that one of our officers had a criminal record. Now that I found out what the criminal record is, or what the other half of the rest of the story, if you will, yeah, okay, I'll have to talk to Mr. Dennis and find out why was he operating a boat improperly and got a criminal record.
But the bottom line was I was assured.
Did he pay his fine? Did he pay his $50 fine? Do you know if he paid his fine?
I was assured it wasn't the same person, though. I was assured it wasn't, and I need to go on Facebook and say it wasn't. That's the point, not the severity of the crime.
Okay. Well, you opened a can of worms. You said it was a crime, a criminal offense.
Well, if you can go to jail, isn't it a crime? If you can go to jail for something, isn't it a crime?
You can go to jail for assault, right? You can go to
may
jail.
find that out. I don't know. I mean,
Right. You can go to jail for assault, right?
I'll be very clear. I'm not saying you're guilty. I'm not saying you're not guilty.
All right, let's finish up the thing so we can.
Basically, all I had to say. I'm glad it's so humorous for the town.
It's not humorous. It's just that I'm going to find out from Mr. Dennis why he's stopping me. I'm going to call him as soon as I get out of here.
We'll let you talk to
Thank
him
you.
and.
I'll talk to him and I'll report back to y'all.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Section.
Anyone else who would like to address Irmo Town Council on anything? Whit?
I thought it was.
Next item is executive session if needed. Anything needed?
No, sir, not that I know of.
Anyone? Next item is an adjournment. Is there a motion for?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.